With her 6 completed novels, Jane Austen is considered a pioneer in fiction. Her books, which focus on the intricate lives of the landed gentry, provide readers today with a glimpse into the society of the late 18th and early 19th century. Although she died 208 years ago in 1817, Austen's writing lives on, and her work is still highly sought after, not only being read, but also being adapted for the stage and screen. Her keen observation skills and sharp wit are reflected in her storytelling, and her social commentary is still praised today. She has had worldwide impact, with fans across the globe both reading and translating her novels.
I have translated Emma. It was the last one. Actually, we have many covers, but these are the last ones. And Mansfield Park and Sense and Sensibility.
Jazz and Society of Italy, JASIT, is a cultural association active throughout the country to promote in Italy the knowledge and the study of Jane Austen, her life, her work, and everything related to it, through any activity useful to achieve this goal, in the name of personal and shared cultural enrichment.
But where did it all begin? Austen was born in the small village of Steventon in Hampshire on the 16th of December 1775 to George and Cassandra Austen. Her father was rector of Steventon Church, and she was the 7th of 8 children, with 6 brothers and a sister. She lived at Steventon Rectory until 1801, when her father retired. Her older brother James took over the position as rector and planted a lime tree which still stands today. The only remaining part of the Steventon Rectory is this well, just behind me. The rest of the building was demolished in 1823 by Jane's nephew William Knight. He built a new rectory replacing the original one. Although the rectory itself hasn't survived, the St. Nicholas Church, where Jane Austen was baptised and where she would have worshipped, is still standing. In the Victorian era, the church underwent some alterations, one of which was the inclusion of beautiful stained glass windows. But the church retains a lot of its original historical character. It's considered a beacon in Steventon for Jane Austen fans. There are decorations and displays dedicated to her throughout the church, including a bronze plaque. It's easy to imagine Jane Austen sitting with her family in the front row, watching while her father preached. It was here in Steventon that Austen's love for storytelling blossomed. She wrote little plays with her siblings as children and shared her creativity with her family and friends, entertaining them by writing short stories. As her writing progressed, she wrote the first drafts of her novels Eleanor and Marianne, Susan, and First Impressions. These went on to become Sense and Sensibility, Northanger Abbey, and Austen's most popular novel, Pride and Prejudice. Although Austen's novels focused on the lives of the landed gentry, she herself was not part of this class. Austen and her family were members of the pseudo-gentry, a class that had the expectations of the gentry lifestyle, but not the finances to cover it. The rectory doubled as a boarding school for an extra source of income, and Jane had the responsibility of helping out with farm tasks. Austen herself was sent away to boarding schools, but the education she received was scanty. Her main source of learning was her father and his books. She lived quite a sheltered, ordinary life.
How did an ordinary woman become such a phenomenon? Jane Austen wasn't particularly well travelled, and she didn't have the most prestigious education. But her ability to observe characters and weave stories around them has stuck with us for so many generations. I'm here today to find out more about her influence on film, fiction and theatre, and to discover why, even today, 250 years after her birth, she's so loved nationally.
Society has changed a lot since Jane Austen's time, and even then, her novels weren't always considered the epitome of literature. Much of Austen's success came after her death, gaining significant popularity in the Victorian era. Today, women have much more independence and freedom than they did back then, and the issues Jane Austen discusses in her novels might not be considered relevant. Helen Howe is a committee member for the Jane Austen Society in Hampshire. I spoke to her to find out why she thinks Jane Austen is still so popular.
I think her stories are very relatable. I think that's why they are timeless. She does write from a very small sphere, and I know that she's been criticised for that as being a provincial writer. But I think what she does really well. Her characterisation is fantastic. There's not an awful lot in terms of plot line, but she talks about human situations that we can transfer to modern day, which is why some adaptations, as you know, like Clueless in 1995, are just fantastic. Now, my daughter watched that film and thought, oh, it's about a high school girl and she learns lessons, not knowing that actually it's the plot of Emma. It's very transferable. So yeah, she's very amusing, she's very witty, but it's her style of writing I like. I always feel I'm in a bit of an exclusive club with Austen. She's inviting me to look at her characters and make judgments. And be a bit of a detective in a way. Her characters are very believable because they're based on real people. It's a mistake that people make. They look superficially at Austen novels and think, oh, it's all about love and marriage. Obviously, marriage is an important factor because for those at that time, it was a very important issue for women.
We know that Austen herself rejected a proposal. A man named Harris Bigwither made her an offer of marriage in 1802. And although she initially accepted his offer on the 1st of December, she changed her mind overnight, and by the next morning, she'd rejected his proposal.
Austen's really quite a feminist in terms of her attitudes and her will for her women to be independent and to have their say. Keeping young people interested is tricky. I mean, this year there are so many events going on, and again, adaptation is a good way in. Also theatre productions as well that come out. There's a lot of fun stuff going out there. I'm going to see Pride and Prejudice sort of, which is 5 ladies telling Pride and Prejudice, and they play all the parts and they use contemporary music, and I think all those things are a good way of encouraging a younger membership.
Pride and Prejudice Sort of was written by Isabel MacArthur in Scotland in 2018. It opened in the West End in 2021 and has won the Laurence Olivier Award for Best Entertainment or Comedy Play. It's touring again now, and I interviewed Finlay Glenn, assistant director for this tour, while he was working on a rehearsal. We spoke about the appeal of this interpretation of the Austen classic for both old and new Jane Austen fans.
It's a fascinating period of time. I think it's a period of time that people are still very interested in, borderline obsessed with, I think, because there's a big Austen following. And I don't know what it is. I think there's something about the manners and politeness of the period or something that people enjoy, all the kind of silly social games that people play and the way that people dress and the way that they speak, and there's something almost quintessentially old-fashioned and English, and I don't know, people seem to love it. The way that it's been treated is very playful and irreverent, and if you come and see it, you'll realise that it's not a stuffy drawing room version of this story. Which, you know, because it can be very mannered and very stilted, but this is the total opposite. It's told by 5 servant characters who, in front of your eyes as an audience, become all the different characters in the novel. It's therefore got this quite heightened, playful, joyous spirit. And it's got a whole kind of theatrical box of tricks that it's using as well. It's even got karaoke in it, so it kind of plays with, obviously it's kind of set in a Regency period, but then we introduce these modern elements. It's got kind of pop songs in it. So I think it's that it's treated not too earnestly, or it's faithful to the story, but it does it in a really playful and original way. I mean, Isabel, who wrote it, is brilliant. She wrote this play. And she's like wickedly funny and witty, but fundamentally she's telling the story that was written by Jane Austen, and that's what people come and love. So, some of the reactions that we get for the show are not for things that we've made, that Isabel has written. It's for stuff that Jane Austen's written, that some people don't even realise that it's, stuff from the original book that they're finding funny or enjoying, or.
It can be argued that Austen enjoyed the theatre and found plays entertaining, writing them herself when she was young. She even made trips to the Theatre Royal in Bath with her family. And after 25 years in Steventon, Bath became her new residence. In 1801, George Austen retired from his position of rector and moved his family to the stylish spa town, a stark contrast to the rural Hampshire countryside Jane had grown up in. George Austen moved both Jane and Cassandra to Bath with the hopes of securing marriages to provide both of his daughters with financial stability. Much of the city today is unchanged from Georgian times. The architecture, the scenery, even some of the places Austen herself would have visited still stand, such as the Pump Room. The city has its own dedicated corner to Jane Austen, with the Jane Austen Centre. Located at 4 Gay Street, just a few doors down from 25 Gay Street, the house that Austen herself occupied while living in Bath, the Jane Austen Centre offers an interactive exhibition to provide guests with the opportunity to learn more about Austen and the time she spent in Bath. One of the great charms of the Austen Centre is the character actors, who bring Austen's beloved characters to life. After giving a short introductory talk, the actors are ready to assist visitors who wish to get dressed up in Regency attire. The exhibition also allows guests to practice their own writing skills using quills and ink, just as Austen herself would have.
Bath was a huge inspiration to her when she lived here.
She definitely took a lot of influence from, society and what was happening at the time.
It was pivotal. I think it was an amazing source of inspiration for her.
Even for the books not set in Bath,
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
she would have drawn. She was just surrounded by so many more people than she would have been in, her countryside living. So there was lots of, boys growing up with the boarding school, all of this, but to take inspiration of, full rooms of people. This year we've been lucky enough to be named top tourist attraction in Bath, so it's publicly recognised in lots of magazines around the world that the Jane Austen Centre is a great place to visit when you're in Bath. So yeah, it's definitely.
And certainly the Jane Austen Festival in the second week of September.
Last year I was lucky enough to participate in the promenade, which was lovely.
Yes.
There's thousands of us, and what was it,
1,270, I believe.
Yeah, people dressed up in Regency costumes.
From all over the world.
Walking down the streets of Bath, and it's funny, everyone is just united in that they love Jane. It's like so nice that it brings us all together.
And the gentleness of the period and how they imagine it to be,
And you feel so in character with it in Bath, is that I can't imagine it doing it anywhere else.
But the Jane Austen Festival isn't the only festival planned this year to celebrate Jane. In the year of her 250th birthday, Chawton Cottage, the residence where Jane Austen wrote and revised her novels, of which 4 were published, is hosting book festivals to celebrate the author's legacy. Rebecca Wood is a museum officer at Chawton Cottage. I spoke to her to find out a bit more about these festivals and any other celebrations that the museum has planned.
So this is the drawing room, which is sort of like the lounge or the living room for Jane and the ladies that live here. We've got original Austen pieces in here as well.
2025 is a really big and busy year for us, so we have planned 5 mini festivals throughout the year. So we had our Pride and Prejudice festival back in January, we've got a Sense and Sensibility one, an Emma one, a Persuasion one, and then the sort of birthday celebrations as well in December. So those events or those festivals are filled with special talks and tours and guest speakers and all sorts of really lovely experiences here at the house. We also launched a book this year, or possibly the end of last year, which is a Jane Austen year, and there's also a podcast with the same name as well. So we've just been finding ways to keep telling our stories, and people that maybe can't make it to the house can enjoy the podcast or can enjoy the book and get a look at it. And I think just trying to raise the profile of Jane Austen. I mean, she is everywhere this year, even so early in the year. There's been so much buzz and interest, and in our Pride and Prejudice festival we had visitors that had flown in, especially from like Dublin. I had a lady from Australia that had come in. We've definitely spoken to a few authors that have written like maybe Jane Austen sort of related fiction, or had their own try at writing like Regency, like Georgian ones as well. So that legacy of Jane Austen is very strong.
Winchester, the final resting place of Jane Austen, has a few events and celebrations planned for the author's 250th birthday. This summer, number 8 College Street will be open to the public for the first time. This is the house where Austen spent her final days before her death in July 1817. The cathedral, where she is buried, is planning a service in October, alongside special interest tours, balls and theatre performances. There will also be an unveiling of a Jane Austen statue dedicated to the author in October. 2025 is going to be an incredibly exciting year for Jane Austen fans across the world, with different festivals and events planned to celebrate her life and writings. It's hard to imagine how Austen herself would feel knowing that her 250th birthday was being celebrated. Perhaps she'd be quite shocked to learn of how cherished and loved both she and her books are today, but also delighted to know that the legacy she has left behind is one that won't be forgotten anytime soon.